Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. I am Nin Desai, and I will be your host. Let's start with my background. I started my professional career at Merrill Lynch with their private client group. At Merrill, we managed portfolios of high net worth individuals. While it was great to trade stocks and bonds, I was always curious about how these companies went public. Thus, after business school, I joined Pacific Crest Securities. PCS is a tech-focused investment bank with a global presence on software, communications, semiconductors, and internet and digital media. Here are a few transactions I worked on at PCS. In 2005, IPOs were at the peak, and it was amazing to be public. But that led to another question. How do VCs know what companies to invest in and which ones to take public? Thus, I joined Alpha Capital Partners. Alpha is a generalist fund with about 135 million of assets under management. My most recent transaction at Alpha was Circon, a software as a service provider company. During my time at Alpha, I realized how inefficient the fundraising process was, not necessarily at Alpha, but in general. That's how NIN Ventures came into existence. NIN Ventures is a first of its kind technology venture capital fund to be marketed, raised, managed, and reported online. The general solicitation and general advertising under the Jobs Act and Rule 506C of the U.S. Securities Act made it possible for us to raise this fund. This rule came into effect September 23rd, and we were the first ones to go live with a website and videos about our fund. NIN Ventures also became the first venture fund to be seen on a billboard, which was followed by in-taxi ads and other social media facilitated marketing. So what will NIN Ventures Technology Fund invest in? The fund will invest in Series A and rounds and write a check anywhere from 1 to 5 million based on the industry, sector, and state. Focus is primarily interest services, education software, internet and digital media, mobile communication, cloud computing, 3D printing, and other path-breaking sectors within the United States. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Our focus is financial services technology, education software, internet and mobile communication, cloud computing, 3D printing, and other breaking sectors within the United States. Let's start with the basics of venture capital. Quickly, if you look at U.S. Venture Capital Index and S&P 500, you will notice U.S. Venture Capital Index tends to outperform S&P 500, and not only that, they have an inverse relationship. So what does that mean? For example, your traditional portfolio consists of 70% stocks, 20% bonds, 10% money market investments. With addition of venture capital, your portfolio can now be 60% stocks, 20% bonds, 10% money market, and 10% venture capital investments. The addition of venture capital will not only help you diversify your investment, it will help you mitigate the risk given the inverse correlation between S&P 500 and U.S. Venture Capital Index. So why venture capital, and what is our strategy? Our strategy is to invest in early to growth stage path-breaking technology-focused companies. From 2002 to 2012, technology investments have dominated the venture capital industry. And the highest amount of venture capital funding occurs in early to expansion stage companies. If you notice from 2002 to 2012, sector-focused funds have outperformed general funds. And technology sectors outperform the rest of the U.S. venture capital index. This is a very important graph. If you notice, the gray bar here is the technology sector, and the teal is the U.S. venture capital index, and technology sector tends to outperform almost every year, year by year, with early and expansion stage companies yielding the highest returns. Thus, NIN Ventures will invest in path-breaking early to growth stage companies, will not only provide adequate finance, but also lend our domain expertise and network of partners to help with recruitment, PR and marketing, and also draft a viable exit strategy. The strength of the team, the value of our network, and our funding model that So who can invest in this fund? Is it better now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. I believe there's something going on with our internet connection here. So who can invest in the fund? One must be an accredited investor and verify themselves as an accredited investor before they can invest with us. An accredited investor is an individual with an income of more than $200,000 per year, or a joint income of $300,000 in each of the last 2 years, or has a net worth exceeding $1 million, either individually or jointly with his or her spouse, excluding the primary residence. For an entity, any trust with total assets in excess of $5 million, not formed to specifically purchase the subject securities, whose purchase is directed by a sophisticated person or an entity, in which all equity owners are accredited investors. It's a really long definition. There are three ways to multiply. There are multiple ways to verify accreditation: income tax, asset test, and third-party verification. For an entity, there are two ways: asset test and third-party verification. Crowdentials is our most preferred third-party verification method with a simple and confidential process at a click of a button. I will now pass on the presenter role to Richard Rodman, CEO of Crowdentials, who will talk about this in details, including Crowdentials and their verification process, and why you should choose Crowdentials over the long definition that I just went over to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Nin. Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here. So what we do at Crowdentials is we make automated compliance software for the Jobs Act. So we help entrepreneurs, investors, VC firms all comply with the newest regulations, but in the most automated fashion. That's really the key here. Nin, if you want to flip the slide, I could talk a little bit about how we do the investor verification process. Really, how this works is we verify investors primarily without using a lot of personal financial information. So our goal is to verify that you are an accredited investor with the least friction. How this really works is that we link into the pre-existing relationship that you as an investor have with your CPA, broker, investment advisor, or attorney. And we have that third party verify that you as an investor have the income or net worth necessary to be accredited. And then we give that back to NIN on the back end so that she has met all of the compliance measures for this specific requirement. What that looks like is you'll be sent a request to enter in the name, phone number, and email of, we'll just say, your investment advisor to keep it simple. You'll then enter in that name, phone number, email. Crowdentials sends an email to your third-party verifier. Your third-party verifier then verifies that, like I said, you have the income or net worth necessary to be accredited. And then what we do on the back end is we compile data points, send it over to NIN for the final certificate, and then we really give her the green light or red light as to whether somebody is accredited or they failed to meet those requirements. And then you could flip there's a question right there. How long is the credentials verification process? Nin, do you want me to wait until the end or answer this right now?
Yeah, let's just wait till the end for all the questions and then.
Perfect.
All right, so moving on, we have also rolled out, thank you very much, Richard. Moving on, we have also rolled out multiple alternatives for investing in the fund, one of which is using your defined benefit plans. A defined benefit plan is a retirement plan that can invest in a wide range of securities and investment products, including venture funds. Some of the advantages of investing from a defined benefit plans are all contributions made to the plans are subsequently invested in a top line tax deductible to the business, whether the business structure is an LLC, LLP, C Corp, or an S Corp. The investment growth is tax deferred under the umbrella of the defined benefit plan. The contributions might be significantly greater than what your 401k plan might have. To invest in NIN Ventures using your defined benefit plan, you must first sign up on nin.vc and verify that you are an accredited investor. Next, establish a defined benefit plan with RSW. Once the plan is established, the contributions is calculated and you can complete the subscription process on nin.vc again. Another alternative that we have rolled out is self-directed IRA. Self-directed is a descriptive term that is used to describe how IRA providers administer the assets they hold. With a self-directed IRA, the client controls what their IRA invests in. Self-directed IRAs allows investors to hold alternative assets within their tax-deferred retirement plan, such as private placements and venture capital. Like an IRA, self-directed IRA has built-in tax-deferred growth, and thus an individual will not pay capital gain tax on the growth of the investment. The return will flow back to the self-directed IRA and will not be taxable to the account holder. A self-directed IRA allows for true diversification that is otherwise not achievable in a standard IRA portfolio. To invest in NIN Ventures using self-directed IRA, again, you must sign up on nin.vc, verify that you are an accredited investor. Next is to establish a plan with interest group. Once the plan is established, you can complete the subscription process on nin.vc and process your payments. So let's go through the investment process step by step in detail. Like I mentioned, sign up. It's really simple. It's as simple as providing your first name, last name, email, and a password. Acknowledge that you are an accredited investor. Given that the fund is raised using Jobs Act, we only want accredited investors looking at our marketing materials. That is, however, you do not need to verify accreditation to sign up. But when you decide to make an investment, that's when you need to verify accreditation. And like Richard mentioned, Crowdentials, it's really simple. It happens with a click of a button. Once you sign up, you get access to our marketing materials, that is PPM, investor presentation, and other suggested readings. If you're new to the venture capital industry, I highly recommend looking at the other suggested readings. You get invited to attend our calls and events. We have monthly investor calls, and you're more than welcome to join our next call on February 11th. We are rolling out a new program which will let investors invest in our fund using an alternative mode of payment. So we host these calls every month, so investors get, or members actually get, invitations to attend our call. You can also schedule a one-on-one meeting with us or in our office or online via Skype. Once you decide to make an investment, you accept the risk and disclosure statement that will explain what venture capital investment is. Next step is to verify accreditation. Once you verify accreditation, You move on to the subscription part. Subscription document is as simple as downloading and signing. Once you finish your subscription, filling out your subscription document and upload your W-9 form, the last step is payment. Payment is as simple as providing your account number, routing number, and the amount you wish to invest. Please note, venture capital is a high-risk, high-reward investment vehicle, and we strongly recommend reviewing the other suggested readings on our website before making any investment decisions. On that note, we're open to questions. Please type your questions in the chat box, and we'll make sure we answer them all. I believe there were a couple that already came in. How long is the Crowdentials verification process? Richard, you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. The verification process in and of itself, we really have a few different ways to be verified. So, if you want to link into the pre-existing relationship with your third-party verifier, we've had that take as fast as 15 minutes. We've had it take as long as a couple weeks. It really depends on the relationship that you have with that third-party verifier. Surprisingly, we've had a few investors that have owed their investment advisors money. So naturally, they're not going to get to it as quickly. What I can say is that we have 70% of our investors run through in less than 4 days. So it's usually a pretty quick process, but you always want to keep a little bit of buffer time just in case something pops up that you weren't expecting.
Thank you. Next question is from David. Can I use the prior third-party verification or Crowdentials verification for investment in other securities? So for NIN Ventures, we actually only prefer Crowdentials, or if you would like to give us your income statements or your IRS documents, uploaded on our website. But we highly recommend using Crowdentials. We do not use any other third-party verification. And as long as Crowdentials is concerned, Richard, can somebody use Crowdentials verification that they got for NIN Ventures to invest in other securities?
Yeah. So your verification is going to be valid for 3 months from the date that it was issued. So you can invest in other securities in those 3 months.
Got it. Next question is from Mark. Can I schedule a one-on-one before accreditation process? We highly recommend that you start your accreditation process before you schedule a one-on-one with us. But if you have any questions which are more venture capital or investment related, we're more than happy to discuss that with you. So yes, we'll be more than happy to schedule a one-on-one with you, but we highly recommend you going on the website and starting the process as soon as you can. Any other questions? Once again, thank you all for joining us today. Sign up on NIN investment process. Feel free to reach us at contact@nin.vc or 312-953-0930 to schedule a one-on-one. Any questions or material requests? Once again, thank you, Richard, for being on the call.
Thank you,
Have
Nin.
a wonderful day and happy investing.